Do you want to know the real reason why you can't run your business in 4 hours a day? Well, then stay tuned. Hi, my name is Yasmin Vorajee. I'm the creator and author of Tiny Time Big Results, where I help small business owners run their business in 4 hours a day. And I know that there's a part of you that is thinking, Yasmin, is it really possible? And in this video, what I want to do is I want to break down what I see all the time. I see this as a common objection. I've had people saying to me, it's impossible. You couldn't possibly run your business in 4 hours a day, 5 days a week, 20-hour-week business. It's just not doable. I actually had somebody on a sales call say to me, no, just a flat out no. And I got the idea of doing this video because I'd seen this so many times. But I was chatting to my husband the other day. Now, my husband works full time. He's a farmer. He is an extremely busy man. And it was bank holiday weekend. And he was like, oh, I need to go and find things to do. And I was like, do you not think you do enough? And he was like, no, there's always more to do. And I said to him, but your worth, your self-worth is not tied to how productive you are. And he went, well, yes, it is. And I just thought, oh, that's so interesting. And it really got me thinking about the conversations that I've had with my clients and with my community about how our productivity becomes our self-worth. So let's just kind of like dial this back and let's start from the beginning. Because if you're thinking, Yasmin, I'm working 8, 10, 12 hours a day in my business, even though I've got all of the other demands on my time and I'm really busy, I don't see how I could actually run my business in 4 hours a day. Okay, so let's start with that, because the truth is, I think we've been sold this pop of a story, right? For many, many years, we've heard all the business gurus, all the big names, all the big entrepreneurs saying, if you're not working 100 hours a week in your business, then, you're not serious about it and you're not a proper business owner. And how many times have you said that in your head? Like, if you're doing it in part-time hours, if you're squeezing it in between the kids and childcare and, maybe a full-time job, and you're thinking it's not really a proper business because you're not spending a lot of time on it, right? But hold on a minute. Like, let's face it, everything in the world is made up, right? So this is just another thing that we have made up, that you have to be working all of these hours. I like to take a different angle, and this has really been the journey that I've been on in the last 14 years of being in my business. I was in corporate for 12 years beforehand. And, for me, the 14 years have been marked with me growing a business and raising my family. So my eldest was only a year old when I started. So I've been growing the business and running the business whilst being pregnant and miscarriages and childbirth and rearing children. And, all my kids went to childcare from when they were about 18 months to 2 years old. So they were always at home with me. So I know from lived experience that it can be incredibly fraught when you're feeling like you're just being squeezed for time. But that's where Tiny Time Big Results came from, because I got tired of asking myself that question of how can I haven't got enough time, and, and really lamenting to myself constantly, you don't have enough time, you don't have enough time, you don't have enough time. Like, talk about a negative affirmation, right? So I actually got bored with myself saying that, and I said, okay, let me think about this differently. Right? I'm bored saying that. That is, when at the time I had like 2 kids and we wanted our, magic number was 3. So I knew that we were going to have more kids and I was never going to have more time. So I decided to ask myself a better quality question. And that question was, well, how can I make it work if I only have 3 to 4 hours a day in the business? And that's really where the methodology comes from. And what I discovered was that it's not about being more productive and having all the apps and the hacks and all that kind of stuff. It really is about the heart of your business and the way that you design your business, the way that you craft your messaging, the offers that you're actually creating that allow you to exchange value, money for value, not money for time, right? How you market, how you create content, how you sell. These are all things that are what you focus on them in the design aspect, right? And this doesn't matter. It doesn't matter whether you've been in business for a few months or many, many years. You can do this at any stage. But that is actually what makes the biggest difference. But here's the thing, right? You can do all of that. And if you're still thinking, I can't run this business in only 4 hours a day, there's a deeper shift that needs to happen. Because what you're doing is you've got this belief, and a belief is just a thought that you keep repeating to yourself, as Abraham Hicks talks about. But it's so ingrained in you, because what happens is if you and I were working together and say, you're my client and we're working together, and I give you this is your plan for the week. This is what you're going to do, right? To help you get really clear in your mind as to what your deliverables are, what your measurables are, what your goals are. And then you look at that and you think, oh, I'm done for the day. Now Yasmin told me that I should just close the laptop and go and do something else. But, oh no, maybe I'll give myself something else to do. And what happens is you get into that cycle of where you always find more to do. A bit like my husband, he's like, oh, I need to do this and this. And I was like, why are you giving yourself more to do? We're not here to, we're not human doings. We are human beings. And he was like, but that's what we do. We keep doing. And I was like, no, I don't buy that. I just don't buy that. Right? So what happens is, you get your work done for the day. And then you think, okay, what else can I do? Right? And maybe you end up scrolling on social media, feeling like you're being productive, feeling like you're doing social media. But let's face it, and I do this all the time as well. I get sucked into the scroll and then I go, oh my God, 20 minutes has just gone by. Right? So you end up finding more things to do, because the inherent truth is that you feel like the more productive you are, the more worthy you are. And we really have to cut those ties between your productivity and your self-worth, right? Because you are worthy no matter what, right? Just because somebody works 100 hours a week does not make them any more worthy than you if you're only working 15, 20 hours a week in your business, right? So that connection, that cord that is tying your productivity to your self-worth, if that is really firmly enmeshed, then the thought of just getting your work done in 4 hours a day and then closing the laptop and going doing other things is actually going to feel quite threatening to you, like to your identity, because that's not who you are. You're like, I do things and therefore that's, me being worthy. So I really want to offer you this reframe, okay, that maybe your worthiness is not tied to how productive you are. And in fact, you can have a fulfilling, thriving business working 4 hours a day, right? And the thing is here, right, because I can feel like the resistance coming and going, but I've got all of these things to do. But do you really, right? Because if we looked at your business, and if we spread it all out in front of us and said, right, let's look at this carefully, and let's look at your messaging, and let's look at your offers and your marketing and how you run the business and the mindset that is running your business. And these are the pillars of my trademark transformation, the transformation that I help my clients get. You can bet your bottom dollar that I will find things in your business that I will absolutely say, you can ditch that. That is not actually helping you at all. Because my goal is to help you run that business in 4 hours a day. So I will look at it and say, right, this is your highest value result. This is the work that is going to get you the best results. This is the audience that you should be targeting, right? These are the offers that you should be running. And offering, because this is going to get you the biggest bang for your buck, right? This is where we build leverage into your business. This is the best marketing for you, right? Because before you go off and buy another Instagram course or another LinkedIn session or anything like that, we've got to get really clear on you, your messaging, your offers, what's in alignment with you, right? Because for me, the lens that I do this work is I'm always thinking, can she make it work in 4 hours a day, 5 days a week, 20 hours a week? Can she make it work? And that's my goal, is to help you run that business in 4 hours a day, right? But what we've got to do is we've got to break that tie between your productivity and your self-worth. And then what we have to do is actually look at your business and see if it's designed, structured to actually be thriving and fulfilling and profitable in those 4 hours. Now, if you want me to have a look at your business, then what I want to invite you to do is to book a call with me, and let's take a look at that. If you're also curious about how you can get more things done in your business, the things that actually move the needle, I want to invite you to my masterclass that I am running about how I get a week's work done in one day with AI. The link is below. And let me know what's resonated with this video, right? Comment below, like and subscribe, of course. I'm really interested to hear this because I've got receipts to prove that you can have a profitable 20-hour week business. You can run your business in 4 hours a day. I've been doing it for the last 14 years. I've helped hundreds of my clients do the same thing. So I know it works, but I'd love to know what holds you back. So comment below and I'll see you the next time. Take care.